Every day in the heart of Soweto and other townships like it, hundreds of young dreamers and hard workers are grinding every day, building small businesses with big ideas and big dreams. But here's the kicker. Most of these township SMEs can't get the capital they need to grow. But amidst all the challenges, there are green shoots of progress. On the 12th of August, as we've told you in the last few minutes, the Commonwealth will celebrate International Youth Day, a day to shine the spotlight on young change makers. On the 15th of August, right in the heart of Soweto and surrounds, Boundless Group is throwing down some serious capital matching workshops where township SMEs get to meet the investors and funders who hold the keys to unlocking their growth. Imagine your small business finally getting that boost to soar. So let's talk about it then. I'm joined now to break it all down. I've got two power players. Sipho Claassen is from Boundless Group, as well as Cleola Kunene, who is head of SME Development at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Good afternoon to the both of you and welcome. I suppose let me start with you, Sipho. Boundless Group, tell me what you do and how these workshops that are about matching capital with SMEs, entrepreneurs, and startups, how does that fit in with what you do?
You know, Tulas, I think from about last year, we've decided as a group that we want to take opportunities to the young people and SMEs in Soweto. And what we did was we actually established a campus. It's a 12 classroom campus that used to be formerly a school that we've converted into a campus where entrepreneurial learnerships, skills programs, those kind of accredited programs happen over there. And when we reached out to the JSE, Cleola was quick off the mark. She jumped at the opportunity. I think she could see the vision and see the opportunity to empower, SMEs in a township like Soweto. And like I said, she was quick off the mark and she heeded our call. And on the 15th of August, we are actually bringing some big power players that Cleola will be talking about. Yeah. That's actually going to enable SMEs to get that kind of funding and training to access that kind of funding to us.
Why did you jump on board so quickly, Cleola, from the side of the JSE? You don't naturally think JSE and think SMEs. What about this appealed to you?
So, Atulas, I think more than just appealing to it, we understand the situation that we are in economically. And the JSE fundamentally also understands that. So we have been making a concerted effort to support SMEs. We have a capital matching initiative that we've been running a few years, and we'll be hosting a capital matching event at the JSE at the end of November. And we want to encourage more entrepreneurs and SMEs to apply. And the reason why we're doing this is because we understand that the gap between what entrepreneurs want to achieve often is funding, and that there's such a challenge in terms of accessing funding. So this initiative is not just about education, it's really about ultimately, can we help you access the funding that's right for your business? And we also know that, there's some stats that came out recently. It said that more than 51% of SMEs are at risk of closing, right? And that's a dire situation. So the reason why I'm quick off the mark and doing everything that I can is because we really tangibly have to do everything we can, and that's why we also bring other funders on board and other companies such as Vodacom, Access Bank, Equate, etc. to the table to really come and participate with us in Soweto. So we truly are grateful to the Boundless Group for partnering with us and allowing us for this opportunity.
Let me stick with you, Cleola. When you say capital matching, what do we mean exactly? In what form? It's venture capitalists, it's people that are able to put money in the business as potential shareholders. What are we talking about?
So what we've done is basically looked at the breadth and width of capital solutions. So everything from angel investing, VC, alternative funding such as purchase order financing, invoice discounting, and various debt financing. So including the DFI, so SETFA, NEF, etc. are also on board. So the reason why we do the breadth and width is because not all funding is the same, you know what I mean? And not all businesses need the same type of funding. So it's also about ensuring that there's a vast array of opportunities for companies to get funded. And the big part of the matching is that companies are matched with funders that are relevant to them. right? So we look at the companies and we help them in terms of understanding what type of funding is relevant and best for their businesses to ensure that they're sustainable, and then match them with the right type of funders based on what the funders have available and also their funding mandate.
Yeah. Sipho, I imagine this is born out of experience at the coalface, especially with SMMEs growing and reaching a point where almost you're hitting the ceiling. And in some instances, as Cleola was saying, the risk exists of a decline and going out of business. Talk to me about that, the needs that are there that you're trying to match with capital.
Tulas, you know, the beauty of the program, the SME Capital Matching Program that the JSE runs, is that it's just not an application form that they give the SMME. They actually walk a journey with that particular SMME. There's training involved. It's getting them ready so that they can put them in front of these venture capitalists and these angel investors. So that's the beauty of why we also kind of reached out when we heard about the programs that they're doing. So unlike when you go to these other, you know, financial institutions, let me not even mention their names, but it's just you complete an application either online and the next thing that you get, it's declined. But also the challenge with a lot of our SMEs in townships is that you've got a lady that's sitting on the corner of a street that's actually for years been chopping cabbage, and she sells it. She's got a captive audience, she's got everything going for her, but what she doesn't have is what everybody looks for, is the tax clearance certificates, all those other goodies. And the beauty of what the JSE does is that they walk their journey with them. They're helping them access markets, access funding, and I think that is what a lot of the SMEs miss. They miss that person or institution that can hold their hand and say, let's walk that journey with you. And that's the beauty of the JSE.
Are you finding, Sipho, though, that the various capital avenues are well understood within the market that you're seeking to target? In terms of, you know, I'm the founder and the person who started it all up, I'm the entrepreneur, I've been hustling and working hard. Is there, and I know it's a generalization,
Definitely.
but you know, your experience, the levels of understanding of what it takes to then grow to the next level by way of capital?
I think there is a misconception, Tulas. I think that a lot of these institutions misunderstand township, you know, entrepreneurs. They're not your conventional, you know, Sipho knows how to run a Chisanyama, for example, and I do it very well. I know how to engage clients. And what I need is maybe just to grow kind of thing. I need somebody that can take my hand, that can guide me. Listen here, this is the next level. This is where you can go to. In fact, there's one entrepreneur actually in the township that we actually engaged quite a bit with. They actually run a little pharmaceutical kind of business. And they approached us and they said, listen here, we are competing now against the cliques of the world where they can actually deliver. They would like to start a delivery kind of thing where they actually can deliver to the old age, you know, those kind of stuff. And this is where this particular opportunity is really to take the JSE Capital Matching Program and put an SMME like that right in front of them. And like I said, walk that journey with them.
Yeah. And Cleola, in your experience, what are some of the key barriers? Sipho talks about township SMEs and the need to understand them for their uniqueness. But I imagine that there are certain barriers that over time you've observed that stand in the way of growth for township SMEs.
So I think that one of the first barriers is the concept of a township business versus an urban business. A business is a business.
Yes.
And entrepreneurs are walking the same distance, right? They have the same goals and dreams, and they're solving similar problems. Obviously, there are some challenges, but one of the biggest challenges is financial literacy and access to tangible support for, you know, to get their financials in order. Access to market is a big challenge. And then, as we know, there are other issues such as infrastructure challenges, and then as well as just you know, cost of things. It costs a township business significantly more sometimes to access certain markets and to access certain solutions. So I think the barriers are there, and we're trying to systematically overcome those barriers. There's only so much that we can do, but that's why partnership is so important, so that we can work together as an ecosystem to solve these challenges.
Does regulation feature in this conversation at all? The burden of regulation, we are seeing it, Sipho, in a separate context that has to do with, I suppose, one iteration of SMEs, mainly in the townships, your spaza shops, for example. Now there's talk about needing to adhere to regulation and just the hurdles of getting regulation right. To what extent is that something that can be expanded as being applicable beyond that subsector of the township SME?
You know, Tulas, I think this is where training comes in. You know, sometimes awareness of these kind of things. You can't know what you don't know. And I think this is the case for a lot of our SMMEs in, you know, townships. Permits, where do they go? If we look at just the red tape just to kind of get them compliant, that's another thing. And what we as the Boundless Group have done is that we've literally said we're going to re-engineer our campus to actually start training that entrepreneurial kind of thing, bringing those kind of players like the JSE, like we're doing now on the 15th, in front of these SMMEs and saying, this is what you need to do, this is where compliance. Obviously, we know how our townships and especially the SMME spaza shops have been dogged by these kind of foods and all these kind of things, you know. And what we're trying to do is to take those SMMEs, bring them together, train them and capacitate them and create awareness around these are the things that you need to ensure that you're compliant, that should anything happen, you know.
Am I correct in assuming that ultimately the goal is to see as many SMEs, entrepreneurs starting out as SMEs, but eventually listing on the JSE, for example?
That's always the goal.
Yeah.
What we want to see is more companies scale in our country. If a company grows and is sustainable, we all benefit. There's significant job creation and there's significant GDP upside. So ultimately, yes, we are going to the entrepreneurs where they are, whether they're in the townships, whether in the rural areas, and we are enabling them and supporting them in ways that make sense for them to grow and scale.
Sounds like a fantastic initiative. Thank you for stopping by and having the conversation with me about it, and all of the best when that event does take place later on in the week. That's Sipho Claassen from Boundless Group, as well as Cleola Kunene, who is head of SME Development at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange.